All right, time to do the podcast. This is going to be great. It'll be our first Halloween episode. Hopefully Zach didn't get too carried away like he did last time.
Hey man, how are you?
Hey man, what's going on?
I'm just brewing up some new recipe here.
Brewing up a new recipe, huh?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I can't quite put my finger on it, but there's something different about you.
Don't know what could it be.
You know, you might have a green tint a little bit to your skin.
New lotion.
New lotion? Huh. Okay. So, is that a cauldron?
No, just a pot.
Just a pot. Okay. It's a mighty big hat you got there.
It was a sunny day. I didn't want to blemish myself.
Oh, blemish yourself.
Mm.
Yeah.
My recipe is complete. All Hallows treat.
I think you're a witch.
Bro, I'm definitely not a witch.
If you're not a witch, I know of a way to prove it. Here's the test. If you survive, you're a witch. I guess he wasn't a witch.
Hello guys, and happy October. 'Tis the season for Halloween. We've now stepped into fall. So we are here in the shed. The weather is wonderful. I apologize for the green face. We recorded our intro and I could not get this shit off. So we'll see how much gasoline I got in the garage, and we'll get it off tonight because I'm going bear hunting in the morning.
So maybe Zach really is a witch since he can't get the green paint off. Maybe that's his real skin color.
Maybe I'm Shrek. I just took 2 weeks off of filming. Went up to Montana on an elk hunt. Struck out on the elk, but caught a ton of brown trout. I did record a little clip for you guys while I was up there, so we will add that on here in the near future.
Yeah, I'm jealous. You get to go up to Montana and go hunting, and I'd stay here and work. But
he covered for me, so it was great. No, it was a good time hanging out with my pops.
Oh yeah.
Saw a bunch of elk. Sharon Stone, if you're out there, let me hunt on your land because you have a bull that I want to shoot.
Yeah, maybe you'll get invited to come out there.
Yeah, she owns the Lions Head Ranch up on the Boulder River, and there was a lot of elk on her property. Saw some monster elk, monster whitetails, some monster pronghorn. Saw some grouse.
All of them on her property?
No, there was deer and there was elk on her property. The antelope were all further west in the state.
Yeah.
We saw some in the Boulder Valley, but there's not a very big herd there. Anyway, great time. Recommend it to anybody. I will not tell you where we went because there are elk there and those are mine.
You laid claim to them.
I laid claim. We are, by the way, guys, please hit like and subscribe. Throw a comment down. We are always looking for new material to do these episodes. But now that we're into October, we're going to kind of concentrate on some Halloween stuff. We got another good one coming up next week.
Yeah, we really want to hit on some of the paranormal, some of the legends that have happened over the years that kind of either spooky or Halloween related. And this week's episode, if you haven't seen it from the description already, we're going to cover the Salem Witch Trials.
The fun fact, very first large-scale government cover-up in United States history.
Really?
Yes.
I can understand that because it was one of the largest ever events of, they called it mass hysteria nowadays. Over 200 people were accused of being witches, and 19 people were executed for it.
19 by hanging, 1 by crushing.
That's right. Giles.
Giles Corey, yeah,
Yeah.
he was crushed to death under some stones.
Yep, because he refused to confess. That's a gangster way to go out right there.
It is, hey man, good on him.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the I guess I don't know exactly what they're called, but the because it wasn't a state yet, but it was the state government
It was
of Massachusetts destroyed all of the literature that they could find about the witch trials. For years, they burned a bunch of books and all of the accounts of the whole thing. They tried to destroy it in history, and it actually took them years to figure out where the actual witch trials and the hangings.
Yeah, they finally discovered the location of where the actual hangings took place, and they actually made it into a memorial in a park now.
They did, yeah. Kind of crazy. It's like right behind a transmission shop or something there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
But it's crazy because, I mean, that stuff, that happened over 200 years ago, close to 300 years now.
The descendants of the executed, there could be like millions of them out there at this point.
Wow.
When you add it up, like millions of Americans can trace their lineage back to the witches that were executed after that. So it actually, if you go on Ancestry or whatever, you can research your family lineage, and it may have affected you. You may not even know about it, but you get curious one day and started doing some research, and
there's been people find all kinds of crazy stuff about doing the DNA through Ancestry, finding long lost relatives they didn't know they had.
Happened to my family.
Yeah.
It did.
Really?
Apparently old grandpa had another kid.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, awesome. So as we said, we're going to cover the Salem Witch Trials, which is a very interesting point in American history. Paranoia was rampant. And there had been witches executed all over Europe.
Yeah. That was the thing too. It had started in Europe several years before that, but in Europe it actually had started to basically die out and kind of wane down, and some of the events weren't as prominent in Europe at that time.
Right.
But a lot of the reasons why it caused it was religious extremism,
puritanical beliefs.
Yeah. And but a lot of those Puritans had immigrated to the States or to the colonies.
They came to Salem with hopes of forming essentially a religious sect.
Yeah.
That was completely governed by religion.
Yeah, and that's how they
to a point. I guess they succeeded. I mean, they
in a way they did.
Yeah.
But they were definitely hardcore, and they had some very stringent beliefs.
They did, yeah. And now you can look back and say they were fucking out there. But at the time, it was like
it was mainstream. Yeah,
it was science hadn't really taken hold yet as the
and back then at that time too, science. It
was witchcraft.
Yeah.
They made a movie about this called The Crucible. Some of you may have seen it. They took that was based on a Arthur Miller play by the same name.
Yeah.
And in both, they did take some liberties with ages and events that happened. So while it's not a bad movie, probably not a bad play. I'm not a big play guy.
Yeah.
But don't base your understanding of what really happened off of those. They're not historical accounts. They're definitely some fabrication in there.
Yeah. There was a mini-series that came out. I can't remember the name of it. I'll put the picture of it up, or the name of it up on the video. But it was a mini-series about the Salem Witch Trials. But they actually went the other direction on it, and all the supernatural things that the witches were accused of, they made it actually happen in the show.
They dramatized it.
They were actual real witches, like with casting spells and all that stuff, and it wasn't bad. It was one of those. Kind of reminded me a little bit of like True Blood. Have you ever watched those shows on HBO?
I think I saw a couple episodes. It wasn't really my kick.
It was definitely dramatized, and it went into the whole paranormal aspect of it.
Yeah. I'm not big on the witchcraft, like paranormal, like ghosts and shit. That
Yeah.
like totally, I'm into that. That entertains me. But like, I know witches aren't real.
Well, so that was one thing I thought that was interesting with this, and the whole reason why the whole witch thing got started was because of the religion, and they were saying the paranormal. You had to believe in the paranormal, and you had to believe in demons, because if you didn't believe in demons, then by their logic, that means that angels and God couldn't exist because they were. So if you believed in God and you were a Puritan, then you had to believe in demons and affliction and that sort of stuff. Which was crazy. I didn't realize.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess if you're
like the head guy that well, I have to look his name up. The Cotton Mather. He wrote a book about it, and about witches basically, and how you as a Puritan, you were supposed to be aware of these issues and aware that you're supposed to be ready to fight the devil at any time, or to be able to, because he's always after you, kind of thing, and you got to make sure you're.
So you live your life basically like a deer.
Yeah.
Everything is out to get you.
Everything's the devil.
Yeah.
It's like Bobby Boucher's mom. It's the devil.
Man, I couldn't live like that. I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
That would drive me. You'd always be on edge.
Yeah. And
I couldn't do that.
It was crazy. It was mostly women that were accused. There were several men that were accused.
Which was strange because men were not usually accused of witchcraft. It was mostly women. Women always get targeted.
Well, the one thing I read on the research about that was they believed that the devil or demons saw weakness in women, and they were more easily taken control of by evil forces, and more women were more susceptible to the evil forces of these beings versus men. But in men, I guess if they had a weak moral character, they called it, that they could be affected by it as well.
Which is funny because if you look back, some of the like pillars of their society were accused of this and executed for.
Yeah, there was what he's talking about. Let me look his name up real quick. So he's talking about some prominent people in their society. One of them was one of the first pastors or preachers of the church in Salem was George Burrows, and he was replaced by he had actually resigned prior to that and was replaced by another guy. I have to look at his who that was, but he's talking about relatives and lineage. Burrows are part of my ancestors, and I don't know about him if I'm related to him, but my mom was really big into the genealogy, and she traced our ancestry because she was a Burrows was her maiden name, and she tracked it all the way back to the East Coast to Virginia and to Delaware and some of these. So this guy may be a distant relative of mine that I don't even know about, because
it'd be interesting to find out.
Because we did have Burroughs relatives that fought in the Revolutionary War that we found.
Jeez, man, my family was still like, milling flour in Germany.
It was crazy. She traced it back. The Burroughs actually on the Revolution side fought for the British.
Oh,
so we were redcoats. But my dad's side, the Shipleys, we traced that back, and they came over back then in the 1600s as well, and they fought on the American side. So I had both my parents' ancestors fought on opposite sides of the Revolutionary War.
That's so weird.
Yeah.
Huh. That's really neat.
Yeah, she actually traced it back, especially on my dad's side today. She actually found the ships, the boats that came over, and they were on the manifest of
really
the boats when they immigrated over in the late 1600s.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
They didn't. Where'd they come into? Where did they port or harbor or whatever it's called?
I can't remember the name of the port.
Land.
It was in Virginia is where a lot of them came in at, like the Chesapeake area, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
That's really cool, man.
I've
never researched my family stuff ever.
But yeah, so I thought that was crazy when I was doing the research and saw that name. It's like, that might be a long lost relative of mine that was hanged during these witch trials.
That is really neat.
And with him being a preacher, when he
Aren't you a preacher, Travis?
technically I am. I'm an ordained minister. I've actually got a wedding to do next 2 weeks from now.
Oh, by the way, not to get off topic, did you see my newest addition to our wall of accomplishments?
I saw that. Yeah. So I get in the office and see another a paper tacked to our bulletin board.
We have a cubicle that we share, and we put all of our accomplishment awards or whatever you want to call them up on the wall with push pins, just as kind of a joke to each other. So Travis had one as an ordained minister.
I had my minister certificate hanging on the wall,
and I had one up there of my certification to hunt bears in the state of Montana, because you have to take a test to distinguish between black bears and grizzlies. But I added one. I got pulled over the other day, and I got a warning from a cop. He was really good dude. Actually, he was a really cool cop.
I saw it was from a state trooper.
It was.
You got off. Usually troopers are writing tickets.
And I was doing 78 and a 65.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and but I think he could tell I was a little frazzled. I was dealing with shit here at the house. I was supposed to be at work, and I ran back and forth real quick, and I was on the way back to work, so I didn't miss too much stuff. And yeah, he gunned me down. He was really, really nice. He was really.
Yeah.
I got lucky. I deserved a ticket.
Oh man. Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, I saw that on there. I figured I'd have to ask you about it.
Yeah. I learned my lesson. Lesson learned. Which I think was his goal. Because I was really like, fuck, like I need to get back.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway. So this all happened in 1692. Into 1693 is when the trials carried over. Which, it's crazy how it started. So, it started with children being children.
Yeah.
Essentially. Kids,
playing make-believe or just...
kids being kids started this whole thing. And I think that the kids got a little taste of power out of this, and not really, being fully developed yet, kind of went off the deep end with it.
Well, and two, when you think about kids at that age, like the one of the younger ones was like 5 years old.
Yeah, one of the little girls who was accused,
Yeah, and I don't think, the kids that age too, like, they're going to make these accusations, but I think they probably really didn't realize the weight of their accusations.
I totally agree.
And didn't realize how seriously it'd be taken, how far it would go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was... Yeah, you said it started in 1692.
Yeah, February 1692.
But this wasn't the first time there was witch trials in the colonies.
Connecticut had
the first recorded witch trial and execution was in Connecticut. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was looking for right now was the date on it. I read
that. Yeah. It was way before that. Years before.
Yeah, it was like in the 1640s.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. The earliest recorded witchcraft execution was that of Ulse Young in 1647 in Hartford, Connecticut. The Hartford witch trials lasted until 1663.
That was several years.
Several years, yeah. Yeah, there was a book written in 1881 that had a list of other people who were executed.
Yeah, there were several
witchcraft
over the colonies that. The Salem trials were the ones that, I guess because it was such a large scale, it happened so quickly.
Yeah,
it got the most publicity. But it happened several times over the years prior to that people were accused and executed for being witches.
And it's kind of crazy because there's really nothing you can do to prove that you're not a witch.
And that's the thing. Like some of their they would one of the tests was swimming. And if they threw you in water, and if you drowned, you weren't a witch. But if you survived somehow, you were a witch. So there was no win situation. Most of them like that, because they said a witch can breathe underwater or something like that. So if you survived, you're a witch. But if you drowned, you're good. We cleared you. You're good.
That would suck. No,
Yeah.
I know. During the trials, they introduced what is called spectral evidence,
Yeah.
where only the accused can see what you're doing,
Yeah.
or the accuser, rather. So if they say your ghost is torturing them,
Yeah. And that was the only evidence
like
they
it's
had.
on the honor system,
Yeah.
basically. Yeah, fuck that.
Well, and it's one of the things too they did with some of these people that were accused. They looked they did these exams for looking for the devil's mark, and they would basically make these people. They would strip down and examine them with two or three judges, or they had the judge and the prosecutor,
Yeah,
and they
looking for birthmarks.
looking for birthmarks or weird moles.
Yeah.
That they said, oh, that's where the devil latches on and affects you. So it's
So my dad's birthmark is on the back of his leg, and I mean it's like the size of a baseball. And even up until years later, my great grandma would tell him that's the mark of the devil
yeah,
when he was growing up. And they were in a really religious household, which I guess is why I'm not very religious, because my dad was kind of forced into it as a kid,
yeah.
and then he was.
What's crazy growing up like that, being like, how do you think if you're a little kid and your grandma's accusing?
He still. I've talked to him about it. He said it fucked with him. He got it covered with a tattoo.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I can understand that.
Yeah, he still till this day talks about, how much as a kid it kind of messed with his head.
Yeah.
And this is in the 50s.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. I mean, especially coming from somebody that you respected, like if your grandma or your grandpa is saying something like that,
Yeah.
you really would take what they said seriously.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah.
So as a kid, I mean, that'd be hard.
So the timeline of the witch trials, as I said, is started in 1692, early 1692.
Yeah.
And it was two little girls that kind of lit the fuse on this whole thing. They were cousins. One of them, Betty Paris, was 9, and her cousin Abigail Williams was 11. The thing that gave them a little more credence was that they were the daughter and the niece of the pastor, or reverend at the time, Samuel Paris.
Okay, yeah.
So they were given a little more credit than they should have been.
Yeah, because they were
kids being kids.
Yeah, because they were part of a respected household. Basically, a lot of that
Yeah.
time it was like who your parents were, what your job title was, and usually the reverend or the preacher was one of the most respected people in the community. So,
and that's the thing is those little girls started playing. In my opinion, they started playing like they were having like seizures and shit.
yeah,
And they explained it as it was more. And I didn't know this. Apparently, they knew about what epilepsy was at the time.
yeah,
Because they said these were not normal epileptic seizures. These were something more
yeah.
severe
They were
and ultimately demonic, I guess.
Yeah, because they said they were examined by a doctor, as good as doctors could be back then, I guess. But they said they didn't find any kind of illness or epileptic type
Yeah.
ailments, and that it was something different.
The little girls would throw shit,
Yeah,
and they would like climb under furniture and like contort themselves.
yeah. And to me, it sounds like they got a little bit of attention from it, and then it went overboard.
Absolutely.
And they fed on that, and it was like a negative reinforcement loop.
Yeah, they claimed that they had felt like they had been pricked with pins.
Yeah.
And the doctors could not find pinprick marks. So then it became paranormal.
Yeah.
So the people were already looking
And they were
to blame somebody, basically.
Yeah, they were.
The first 3 people that were accused were Betty Paris, Abigail Williams, and Ann Putnam Jr., who was only 12 years old. Elizabeth Hubbard, Sarah Good, and Sarah Osborne, and then there was Tituba.
Yeah.
And historically, some of these names come out more than others, like Sarah Good, Sarah Osborne. They played a really big role in it. And Tituba, I felt bad for her, man, because she, her life probably sucked anyway. She was their
she was like a slave or an indentured servant.
Yeah.
She was from, they called it the West Indies at the time, so she was from the Caribbean.
The Caribbean somewhere.
And basically a slave. But, in a lot of those cultures down there, they practiced their own religion and stuff that they had. And she told these girls different stories from her religion and from her culture that they thought was really interesting. The girls did.
Yeah.
And but their Puritan families, lifestyle, culture saw that as demonic or
Yeah.
what do they call it? It was blasphemy, basically. Is what
That's a good
And that they were basically they accused her of worshiping the devil, is what they were really alluding to, and that she was corrupting these girls and bringing the devil into them.
Yeah.
With her stories and with her.
And all she was doing was telling them the differences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, she definitely got the short end of the deal on that.
Yeah. The thing is a lot of the people that were accused were just like familial enemies. Like there was people trying to make land grabs.
Yeah.
And there was people that their parents had kind of bashed in the past.
That was one of the things, too, I saw with the Salem, and there was Salem and there was Salem Village.
Yeah.
And there was basically neighboring twin towns that was right there next to each other, that a lot of the families had these family feuds going on back generations. And there was times
It was
during
the Hatfields and McCoys, basically.
Yeah, and it was times during town meetings and different things where it would actually be fistfights in town or at church, because of families or different people feuding over different things. So then they think some of this animosity towards their neighbors. They said that's one of we was talking about the preacher before, Burrows. He was the preacher.
Yeah.
At one of the churches. I don't remember if it was Salem or Salem Village. But he resigned basically from all the bickering and infighting between community members.
Yeah.
And like he said, I'm done with it.
I'm done with this. Yeah.
Yeah. Because he was trying to keep this stuff under control, and it was too much drama.
But Sarah Good, she was accused simply because she was homeless.
Yeah.
Like she was basically destitute and had like no allies in town. People kind of looked down upon her, so they just decided she was.
Yeah, and because
witch too. Basically a way to do your spring cleaning. In your town, is what it came down to.
And that's kind of what it seemed like. There was they, instead of looking, you were definitely guilty until proven innocent with this stuff, instead of the other way around. It was if somebody accused you of it, it was really hard to shake that accusation.
Absolutely, yeah. Some of the people who were accused also were accused simply because they doubted the girls.
Yeah,
and they Rebecca Nurse is a name that is linked to this throughout. She was one of the witches.
Yeah.
The Good family.
There was Sarah Good, and then
Sarah Good, Dorothy Good was her kid. Rebecca Nurse, Martha Corey, Giles Corey's. I think it was his wife.
Yeah.
They had basically called bullshit.
Yeah, they were saying, hey,
like these are kids.
Yeah, and it's getting blown out of proportion. We need to kind of step back from this, or maybe take a look to really look at this logically. And then they were in turn accused because they were defending these accused witches then.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, in today's standards, I mean, you kind of think, you hope, you hear about, our legal system, and there's a lot of flaws with it, but, I would think it's definitely a lot better now than...
Progress
for sure.
Yeah. Some of these people were tortured into confession, too.
And that's the thing, it's like... we was going back, they would, when they would do these exams, they called them exams, and basically they'd strip somebody down naked and look over them to look for these marks of the devil. But then at the same time, they were berating and pressuring these individuals to confess, and showing all this evidence, they called it, against them that they were witches. And we was talking about earlier how they believed that women were more susceptible to the devil and to being taken over by a demon. A lot of the women would confess because of their own religious beliefs. They believed that, well, maybe I am a witch, maybe I am one, and I don't know it.
They were brainwashed,
basically. And they almost accused themselves of it because they thought they might have been weak.
That's a shame, man.
It is. They were. they were basically talked into confessing over stuff because there was a possibility that they were. It was pretty messed up. I was talking about the spectral evidence before, and people talking against it or defending some of the accused. There was actually a Baptist minister in Boston that wrote a paper basically contesting or challenging the validity of spectral evidence. And he actually was arrested for basically defending. They're saying that spectral evidence was a crock and saying that shouldn't be able to be used in court because it's, like you're saying, the only person that can see it is the accuser. He said it's not it's not true evidence. So he was basically, he said he had to post bond to get out of jail after he was arrested, which is equivalent to $42,000 today.
Golly.
He was arrested for contriving, writing, and publishing scandalous papers. Basically in contestment of the spectral evidence being used in court for these witch trials. This was in 1692, so this was the year of, well, as it was the witch trials were going on, he had contested their evidence methods and was arrested for it.
It's amazing that, I understand times are different, but it amazes me that people bought into this shit.
Yeah. Well, like you're saying too, it's like it's how they were raised and how they're brought up, and almost like a type of brainwashing. You know, you think of it, they're such strict beliefs that they were raised in their whole lives. That's all they knew.
That's sad.
Yeah.
I know that their goal was to, and everybody today, you're granted the right to a speedy trial or whatever.
Yeah.
But Jesus.
Well, and it's the thing though too. It's like there was their evidence or their reasoning behind things really wasn't justified or how you today you have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt, right?
Yeah.
So it was going back to George Burrows when he faced the execution.
Yeah.
He was standing with the rope around his neck, basically getting ready to be executed. And he recited the Lord's Prayer.
And that was a big thing. Is witches? If you were a witch, you could not say the Lord's Prayer. You couldn't. I don't know what their beliefs exactly were, but you couldn't form the words. Well, witch could not. So if you could say the Lord's Prayer, it proved you weren't a witch. And he did it. Obviously, he knew it.
Yeah.
And they said, well, that even proves even more he was a witch because it's witchcraft that he could do it.
That's what they were saying. He said, but that's the thing too, because it actually caused there was all the witnesses to the execution that was out there. It was basically the whole town was out there to watch it happen. And they said he recited it and he made a speech, and then he recited the prayer, and his speech and the prayer was with such conviction and emotion, and that half the town basically wanted them to set him free. Like they said, hey, he's not a witch.
Yeah.
But then the other half said the devil was reciting it back for him.
It's trickery.
It's trickery.
Whatever. Yeah.
So he still didn't. He
still got killed.
And they still hanged him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they even when you live up to their own standard, their own evidence, they still find a way to go around it.
Yeah. I mean, I can see why people want to sweep this under the rug.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it's the right thing to do, but
yeah, it was definitely a dark time in our history.
Yeah. And apparently they realized it because once they decided to put a stop to it all, they tried to bury the evidence.
Yeah, they did.
So John, one of the things that in the movie The Crucible and in the play by Arthur Miller that it does, I won't say goes into depth on, but it does cover is the affair between John Proctor and Mary Warren. That was all made up by Arthur Miller.
Really?
Not even historically accurate in the least.
I don't know. I didn't read anything about it. Yeah.
So in the movie and in the play, John Proctor's in his early to mid 30s, and Mary Warren is the 17-year-old temptress.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. Which I know 17 is young now, but back in the day, that was like pretty common. Like my great grandma got married at 12.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that was she was past marriage age by
yeah,
that
I mean,
point in
so,
those days.
But in real life, John Proctor was in his 70s.
Oh, okay,
And
yeah.
Mary Warren was like 11.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so
And,
they did
like,
take some creative liberties with
Yeah,
that.
so
Yeah.
there was like, just so you guys are aware, there was nothing sexual at all. Mary Warren was literally just like a house servant.
Yeah. And that's crazy how, too, you have...
That was all Arthur Miller, 1950s, male liberty,
Yeah, he had to try to spice things up a
sexually
little.
driven.
Yeah.
Yeah, not historically accurate in the least.
Yeah, they're taking the creative liberty a little bit on there.
A little bit. Pushing the gas pedal down a little hard.
Yeah. And I guess, too, it didn't take very long. All these happened the late 1692 to early 1693.
Early 1693, yeah, it was a pretty quick...
And I think it went up into the summer, like in June or July of 1693, when it was finally concluded. But it didn't take long for them to start having, I guess, remorse about what happened. And there were several petitions filed with the Massachusetts government in 1700 and like 1703.
Yeah.
Petitioning to exonerate the accused of these crimes, the ones that were executed, the ones that were put in prison. Because some people weren't executed, but they died in jail because of harsh conditions and stuff in jail while they were waiting on trial. And it actually went on for the next 200 years in the mid 1800s, and all the way up until 1957. The Massachusetts government went on and exonerated some of the accused
Jesus Christ,
of people
it took
that
so
had
long to say no, they weren't witches.
They weren't witches. Yeah, over 200 years to get some of these people I guess if you want to call it justice, or to have their name cleared.
I'm sure they give a fuck.
Yeah.
No. One of the things that I have read about is the site. So for years, like they thought it was like on the top of, I think it was called Mount Salem.
Okay.
And after like some analysis, they decided, because these people were hauled up to their execution in these carts.
Yeah.
And they decided getting to the top of this Massachusetts mountain. I'm just, fun fact, I'm very prejudiced about mountains.
Hill.
Yeah, it was a hill. I come from a state with a lot of mountains. There's no mountains in Massachusetts. Anyway, it was apparently too steep to get a cart up, they decided, especially fully loaded with people. So it took them quite a lot of analysis, reading historical records. They even brought in a LiDAR to try and find out where this whole execution actually took place. And they did finally find a neighborhood that fits the bill.
Okay.
And they have gone through everything and found the disturbed soil. And they did find the actual location where this took place. And one of the... So John Proctor's body was never recovered.
Okay.
And the rumor is that his family stole it, because they did like a mass grave for all the witches.
Okay, yeah.
So the rumor is his body was stolen by his family and buried elsewhere.
Yeah.
And they've somehow, I don't know how they found out, it's like an automotive shop.
Oh, wow.
Or no, it was a school. It was a school came in. School, the school built in like 1976 was put over John Proctor's remains.
Wow. I wonder if they can go through like with LiDAR, like you're saying, or
they'd have to dig up the foundation of the school.
The ground radar and see if there's anything under there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. One of the things I thought was interesting, because they talked about this being a case of mass hysteria. Mm-hmm. There's been several people have had different theories about what happened, and they think a lot of it could be really a mixture of all the things, with like religious extremism, the animosity between families, But then there's also another one. I have to look, tell you what it's called. Let me find the term for it. But so back then too, a lot of the Northeast U.S. they grew a lot of rye. Like they made rye whiskey.
Oh, the LSD thing.
Rye.
Yeah,
they
yeah.
made
The
rye bread.
moldy rye bread. Yeah.
So there's a type of mold that grows on rye bread. So this is a medical theory about actually what happened with some of the people that were afflicted. They call it was. There's a fungus that grows on rye bread. It's called Claviceps purpurea, and one of the chemical substances found in this fungus is LSD.
Yeah,
and they said some of these people may have eaten contaminated bread and basically been tripping balls and having these convulsions or experiences. And they thought they were afflicted by witches.
I think I got some rye in the cupboard.
So it's called there's a foodborne. They call it encephalitis lethargica. Lethargica, and that's actually the term for being contaminated with this fungus and causing health problems. It can cause hallucinations, convulsions.
So there's a possibility.
Yeah.
That it's not little girls just playing.
Yeah.
They just ate some fucked up bread.
They ate some bread,
old moldy bread, and then everybody died.
Yeah, and another thing too, with going back to the little girls and different thing, and the another theory too was like night terrors and what they call it. There's not night. Sleep paralysis. Yeah. We talked about that in the last ghost episode. They people having these nightmares or different things, and they associating that with the devil and with evil spirits. So them not knowing science and shunning science at the time may have contributed to a lot of their demise as well.
That's insane to me.
Yeah.
Oh. What kind of beer is that one, Trav?
So, in part of celebrating the witch trials, we got some Sam Adams Oktoberfest, and Sam Adams is the Boston beer company, based out of Boston, Massachusetts. Mm-hmm. So right down the road from Salem.
I believe they are classified as the world's largest microbrewery.
So when does it go the step from a microbrewery?
I have no idea.
Where does it go from micro to macro? Because like they say Budweiser, and those are macro breweries. So
I guess, and this is my non-educated opinion of it, I think that all of Sam Adams is probably brewed in one single brewery.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But this is a guess. This is just a stab at it. Halloween joke.
There you go. There's a stab.
No, I that would be my guess.
Yeah.
That all of Sam Adams is brewed in one location, whereas Miller Coors, Budweiser brewed in several places.
This is the first time I've actually had the Oktoberfest Sam Adams.
What's the verdict?
I like it. Actually, I'm
going to try it here in a minute.
Last week's episode, when we was talking about Oktoberfest, I can't remember the name of the beer that we was trying last week. We
did the Munich stuff. It was all Germany.
It tastes a lot like those. It's very similar. So the Sam Adams Boston Lager, if you had that before, it has the bitter hoppy flavor to it. This doesn't have any bitterness to it at all. It's kind of a nice smooth, almost not quite sweet, but it's a good ale flavor to it. So it's instead of
I'm curious.
The bitterness.
So one of the things that they did to prove that they were witches is they came up with witch cake.
Oh, the witch cake, yeah. That was supposed to draw out the demons or whatever.
So they would take flour and rye and the accused urine.
Oh, really?
I
didn't realize that.
And they would bake a cake with their pee and then feed it to a dog.
Wow, okay.
And then if the dog survived, they weren't a witch.
They weren't a witch. Huh. So were they feeding the dogs LSD from this contaminated rye?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Because imagine that you trip your dog out.
And your dog starts acting fucked up. Well, now you're definitely a witch.
You're definitely a witch. You killed my dog.
Yeah.
Or the dog went crazy. Man, it's like some of these things that they come up with to try to prove the unprovable.
And the poor Rover in the corner just hanging out like, I'll get some cake. And A, the cake tastes like piss. Yeah. And then B, it kills you.
Go on a trip first and then...
terrible way to go. Yeah. Poor dogs. Man.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to try one of those Oktoberfests.
You want one of these Oktoberfests?
Yeah, if you don't mind, that'd be cool. Not that one, it's warm.
Not that one.
One thing I did want to point out is, we'll get into the beers here in a second, that October, you guys, so everybody does their summer shandy. They've tried and got into the seasonal things. October is the spearhead of that.
Yeah.
October was the very first seasonal beer time.
Exactly. Yeah. They started off. I really got to thank Germany for that. I think it's Oktoberfest.
Yeah.
Lagers and ales.
Well, it's even branched out into other things like coffee.
Yeah.
Fall time coffee.
Pumpkin spice
lattes.
lattes.
The ladies love the pumpkin spice. I don't know why.
They've actually got pumpkin spice beer now too. I've seen a few.
Do you like pumpkin spice?
It's okay. I like pumpkin pie. I love pumpkin pie.
So I have a, and I go through this every year. I don't eat pumpkin pie until Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And then I eat pumpkin pie pretty much every day till Christmas, and then I don't eat it for the rest of the year.
That's the way I am. I eat pumpkin. Yeah.
I eat it for breakfast.
Oh, pumpkin pie
almost
is great
every
for breakfast.
day. Almost every day, cold pumpkin pie for breakfast.
Oh yeah. I like the pumpkin pie, a little bit of Cool Whip on it. That's perfect. That's a good fall treat.
I've done it for years. Yeah.
Well, and I've drank a pumpkin spice coffee or whatever.
This is good.
It is. I like it. I like it.
It is smooth.
It is. I like it better than the Boston Lager.
Did I tell you about the best beer I ever had in my life?
I don't know. Maybe.
It was a Sam Adams.
Okay.
Story time. Sidebar.
Wait. Hey, here we go. We can cut this out and do a YouTube short. There you go.
I was in Korea for a year, and you get what's called a mid-tour.
Yeah.
Which is, for those of you that don't know, it's a 1 month basically break from Korea. You can go anywhere you want in the world on your own dime. They don't fly you. The military does not fly you there, but I mean, they give you a 30-day vacation basically. I ended up I flew from Korea to the States. I went out to North Carolina for a buddy of mine's bachelor party, and supposed to be at the wedding, but he changed the fucking date. So I didn't get to do the wedding, but I did do the bachelor party. And then I went back to Montana for 3 weeks, and then I flew back to Korea. Anyway, I'm telling you about the time I almost killed Steven Tyler. And then I had the best beer I've ever had in my life.
Oh, man.
Right after.
Okay.
So I landed at LAX, and this is like pre-cell phone. Like, everybody had, like, there were cell phones around, but this was like, it was the transition period.
Yeah, this is like, what, 2003, 2004?
It was 06.
06,
It was 06. It was, I want to say it was like June of 06, maybe July.
Okay.
I can't remember for sure. June or July of 2006. But payphones were still like a very commonplace thing. So I had a calling card because I didn't have a cell phone. I had a calling card. I flew into LAX. I scratched off the little PIN code on my calling card, and I called my dad from the phone bank. And I said, "Hey, man, I just want you to know I landed.
Yeah.
I'm in the States. I'm going to go through customs, whatever, and go get a beer." Because I will say, Korea beer is terrible. So I had been drinking this shit called an Original Brewery for 8 months, and like you had to chew it up to drink it. There was yeast fucking chunks in this beer.
Oh man, yeah.
It was bad. Anyway, so I get off the phone with my dad, and I pull out my wallet, and I'm going through my wallet because I'm really thirsty. I just want water. Yeah. So I'm walking towards the Hudson News, the airport store.
Yeah. You're walking with a purpose, too.
And I'm trucking. I'm thirsty. And I'm not paying attention where I'm going, and I'm digging through my wallet. to look, because all I have in there is Korean money, and I know somewhere in there is American money, and I just want a fucking water. Just an Aquafina. And all of a sudden, I fucking run into this guy. Because I'm down, my face is down, and I'm moving forward. And he wasn't paying attention either. And I hit this dude, and I knocked him over. And I said, hey man, I'm so sorry, my fault. And I looked down, and it's Steven Tyler from Aerosmith. On crutches, in a walking boot. And I'm like, oh shit, Aerosmith. So I'd try to help him out, and he was like, no. And he gets up. He was with a beautiful lady. And I was like, man, I'm really sorry. And he looks at me and goes, whoa. And I was like, whoa. So
I'm gonna put this on TikTok, and I'm gonna
tag Steven
Tyler on there.
He should remember that, because I'm a little bigger. He's the little guy. He's not very big. And I was, like I said, I was on it. I was real thirsty. Anyway, he got up, and we kind of awkwardly walked into Hudson News together, where I went and got my Aquafina, and Steven Tyler bought Starburst.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then he checked out ahead of me and went on his merry way, and I've never seen him since. So, Steven Tyler, I apologize for running into you. My bad. But anyway, then I made it through security. I got back to the airport lounge, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And I asked for a fat tire. And she did not have a fat tire at the time. So she said, well, what's the second choice? I said, I guess a Sam Adams. And she brought me a Sam Adams. And after drinking that shit Korean beer, no offense, South Korea, you guys are a great nation, but your beer sucks. I had that first Sam Adams, and it was like, till this day, the best beer I have ever had in my life was an OG regular Sam Adams.
Yeah.
But it was, extenuating circumstance.
Well, that's the thing, I think, though, too. Every first beer I've had coming back from a deployment and somewhere over,
so good,
so nice,
so good.
Yeah, I came back from my first trip to Afghanistan, or not my first trip to Iraq. I turned 21 in Iraq, and
so you didn't get a drink.
And so on the way back, we stopped in Germany. We had a layover in Germany. I don't even know what it was, but it was whatever they had on tap, their lager they had.
Phenomenal, wasn't it?
It was great.
Were you in Frankfurt?
Yeah, in Frankfurt. Yeah.
Great.
So went to it's crazy. We were in Germany, in Frankfurt, and went to an Irish pub in Germany and drank beer. But so those first beers coming back from deployments, it was always great.
First beer after a long time of not having a beer is amazing. Especially
drinking the Budweiser NA that they had on deployments. Like, oh, you can have this NA beer, but that stuff was nasty because it sat on pallets in the sun, and then
the water always had that plasticky taste.
Yeah.
Pretty sure that's gonna fuck me up in the future. All right, guys, I did want to talk about our featured alcohol tonight, as we kind of already covered the Sam Adams. It's delicious. I mean, it really is it's a 5.3 beer, so it's a little stronger than your normal cans.
I think they really nailed it with the Oktoberfest flavor with it.
I do too. It's very, very good. I will drink this again for sure.
Yeah.
The other one that we did tonight is this All Hallows treat. It is an Imperial chocolate peanut butter stout, and I do have to say that it is like drinking down a Reese's peanut butter cup.
It's like, imagine eating a Reese's cup and washing it down with a beer.
Yeah,
it's peanut butter chocolate beer.
It's like, don't get me wrong. The first sip, I was like, ugh. But the ones after that, I was like,
It's one of those things that kind of grew on me a little bit. It's like, it's not bad at all.
No, it's strong. It's from Omagong Brewery. It is 7.6 alcohol by volume, so it's a heavy hitter. It's a sweet. It says on the can, sweet and spooky like the perfect Halloween night. All Hallows treat rekindles your favorite childhood holiday memories. Aromas and flavors of dark chocolate, cream, and peanut butter, and soft vanilla. Finish swirl with a smooth body and medium mouthfeel. It is a perfect throwback that brings you to your first bite of a chocolate peanut butter cup. Chocolate peanut butter yum. And I mean, it's lovely. And also to bring in a baseball thing here, it's brewed in Cooperstown, New York, which is where the Baseball Hall of Fame is. So, good job.
The can is pretty neat too. It's got all the like, graveyard and zombies and ghosts and stuff on there. So it's definitely a Halloween beer sticking with our Halloween theme.
Very, very cool. I will buy this again. It is a little bit pricey, but you know.
Yeah.
Sometimes I got to take quality over quantity.
That's right. Well, it's one of those too. You're not going to drink that.
That is true. That's one thing I will say. You're not going to sit down and drink 5 of them.
Yeah,
and they only come in a 4-pack.
Yeah, I mean, with it being a stout, so it's not something they're going to drink a bunch of anyway.
Yeah. Well, you know what they say: a moment on the lips, a lifetime on the hips.
There you go.
Well, guys, we appreciate you. Happy October, pre-Halloween. We do have maybe 2 more Halloween episodes we're gonna do this month just to celebrate.
Yeah, we'll stick with the paranormal and the ghoulish themes this month, and we'll get October sent out right.
If you don't mind, if you enjoyed this episode, please hit like, hit subscribe, share it with a friend. Hit us up with any suggestions you may have. We have a couple episodes on the way in the works that we really want to cover, but we always enjoy your input.
That's right.
I hope you enjoyed our skit.
Yeah. If you're just listening to this on Spotify or Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, you have to go on YouTube and check out the intro to this video. We had fun making it. We
did. Yeah. Still having fun.
You got the green face still?
I still have a green face. No, we're... next episode, we're doing goblins. I'm not washing. Now, hopefully this shit comes off, because so far it has not. Guys, thank you so very much. We appreciate it. Enjoy your Halloween season. And enjoy your fall, your hunting season. This is my favorite time of year, by the way.
Oh, yeah, it's great. Yeah, the fall is definitely the best time of year.
It is. Yeah, baseball's getting heading to the playoffs. Football season is really hitting, kind of its stride. Hunting season is going. The leaves are changing color. It's just...
And Halloween, one of my favorite holidays. So
girls are rocking the pumpkin spice and flannel.
That's right.
So, I love it.
It's a great time of year.
Guys, be safe. Don't make bad choices.
Always have a plan.
Absolutely. Yes. Trick or treat.
Trick or treat.